Black as Fuck with Mo Hill. I'm your girl Mo Hill, and this is my guest for today. Today we're going to be talking about mental health and just growing up black. But of course, before we get started, as I always say, if you are not subscribed, go ahead and pause this video right now and go ahead and subscribe for me. Also, make sure your notifications are on. And please, folks, leave me some comments. I do not bite. Y'all scared to leave comments. Leave them. Let's have some dialogue, okay? Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let my guest introduce himself. He has been on the show before, so he may look familiar. But go ahead and shout your shit out again. Remind who you is.
How you doing? My name is Dante. Everything, I'm the chef that came on beforehand. The chef owner.
And he didn't bring us no sample still today. So
she didn't
until we get a sample, he cannot say that he is a chef.
I am. Follow me at melanated_cuisines.
Ooh.
On every platform.
On every platform. Okay. Alright, well, thank you, Dante, for coming on out today. Again, today we're going to be talking about growing up black and mental health, because I do feel like that's something that we definitely need to talk about. Now, if you grew up in the 90s, we had a time. We had a time back in the 90s, okay? We was outside at night sitting on them green generators with our boom boxes in the cul-de-sac, just out there like, what's up? We had lip gloss popping, we had our butterfly pins, we had Power Rangers, like we was really living a good life. Freaknik, all that shit. But we all grew up different ways, and we all have our different shit that we're still sorting out today because of that. So I want to ask you, how has your upbringing affected your mental health? Do you feel like the relationship that a person has with their parents impacts the relationships that they have with other people?
I can say, yeah. I may be a little bit different from other folks because I didn't necessarily grow up with my parents. Like, they were in my life, but I grew up, to be a kid, I was sleeping from household to household. Great grandma raised me, auntie raised me, godparents raised me. My parents were just in and out the majority of the time and stuff, but
yeah,
I was bouncing back and forth from one hood to another.
Badass. So how do you feel like that has affected you today, your upbringing? Do you have a good relationship with your parents?
Well, my father passed and everything right after I graduated high school and everything. Him and I were extremely close. Him and my mom, honestly, not so much, unfortunately, but I just love her for who she is, while she's still here.
You got to, because you only get one mama.
Yeah.
You may have different surrogate mamas, your teachers, your aunties and stuff like that, but from the coochie, you only got one of them. I definitely feel like, a person's upbringing definitely impacts the relationships that they have with other people. I know for a lot of women, like when that dad is absent in their lives, they're spending the majority of their lives looking for that love, looking to fill that void. I know for a lot of women, who I grew up with, including myself, like one of the things, because of that, they may have gotten pregnant young or, may have gotten hooked on, certain things like that. So I definitely feel that way. And if you didn't have your dad in your life, you may have suffered from things like abandonment issues and stuff like that. In a lot of situations, the female mom dynamic was kind of aggressive, for lack of better words. You had those moms that were just calling their daughters bitches, just horrible, just rude, because it's deadbeat moms too, you know what I'm saying? And moms also play a huge part in the way that we interact with other people as well, because when you don't get that nurturing, when you don't get that love, that unconditional love, you definitely, like a lot of y'all niggas out here, you can tell y'all mamas ain't love y'all. And I'm not even trying to be funny, but you can tell. Because y'all don't even love women. Y'all sit on Facebook every day and it's just like, nigga, are you the bad bitch or?
At the same time, I can say the same thing about a lot of women too. I feel like it's equal on both sides. There's a lot of men out here who say, and I'm just gonna solely speak on our community.
Oh, yeah, it's black as fuck.
Yeah, because I don't give a fuck about the niggas. Yeah, because I don't give a fuck about the others. But as far as our community goes, I feel like honestly, we both be doing the exact same shit to each other. there's a group of black men who sit here and degrade and tear down or speak ill of black women, but I feel like there's also a group of black women who do the same thing to black men and everything as well too. I can't tell you how many times I sit here and I literally just scroll on Facebook and everything. Niggas ain't shit, you this, that, and third, and all that stuff or whatever. But then I'll turn around and I'll see guys like, man, all y'all hoes say y'all just want money, you just this, that, and third. Like, it's like everybody likes to generalize when they're speaking on behalf of the other sex, but if they're a part,
because if you a male Virgo, I ain't fucking with you. Go ahead.
But if they're the sex that somebody else is speaking on, then they're not looking at it in a generalized sense. They're looking at it more so, oh well, I don't do that. I don't. I'm not that way.
It's always like that, like in the comments. Like
and men and women both sit here and do that. They'll generalize for the other party and everything, but then be like, oh well, y'all do this and third. Oh no, I ain't never did this. Like none of my friends. I'm not speaking on behalf of just you and your friends. Like how you generalize the men or you generalize the women, it's the same thing, vice versa. You got to give it that same love, that same energy.
I mean, it all goes back to slavery. I mean, at the end of the day, we've been conditioned to be pitted against each other, and you guys are just really letting them win. I want to answer my own question though, as far as my relationship with my mom and my dad. With my mom, me and my mom have not had like a typical mom and daughter relationship, but she's a great mother. She's always been like my ride or die chick. However, my mom doesn't really have like a good relationship with other women. So, well, she doesn't necessarily have not have a good relationship. She just don't give a fuck about other people. Like she doesn't care about having friends. So for a long time, for me growing up, I didn't really get along with other women, other females. Like I looked at females as I'm working, y'all. I'm trying to get syndicated, so I'm definitely watching my tongue. I ain't cussed yet. But it was hard for me to really like build those relationships, and not really even just with girls, with boys too. Because I used to be in the gang. I used to beat everybody ass. So the only people that I kind of bonded with were people who I was fighting with. And to this day, none of them hoes are my friends. So I just feel like that definitely played a big role. And as far as my dad goes, my dad has not been a big part of my life. So for a long time, there were different issues that came from that. But I guess the real bigger question is when we talk about how our upbringing affects who we are today, at what point do we hold our own selves accountable and stop blaming our parents for, oh, this is why I'm like this, or this is why I treat people like this because my mama wasn't shit and my daddy was a hoe. You know what I'm saying? At what point do we look at them and say, okay, well, I know that, and I'm choosing to continue these patterns even though I know why I'm doing it, versus not understanding why you're doing it and just being like, fuck it, I don't give a fuck and I'm just gonna be destructive. I've met a lot of guys who may not have a good relationship with their mom. So they're like, I don't know how to love. Nigga, you 42. What the fuck? What?
So,
what am I supposed to do with that?
So, and I'm probably giving away too much for you.
Not too much for you. You're 42, sir.
A lot of the fellas probably would have said, look at me.
Okay, Steve Harvey. Come on, Steve Harvey Jr. Come on.
Look, I ain't gonna lie. That's some shit I used to say when I was like younger, like in my early 20s and shit like that. But I'm not gonna lie, it was a manipulative tactic so I can get you to feel sorry for me.
You're damn pussy.
It's very manipulative. Like very, very manipulative. Not saying that there aren't people out there who really can't see and show up, but the vast majority of them don't even know that they can. To the point where they can sit there and acknowledge it. Because the first step to healing is even acknowledging that it's even an issue.
Yeah.
And so you either gonna sit there and solve the shit, or you gonna keep on sitting there using that shit to get what you want and everything. So I don't know. Like,
I definitely used it. I was definitely a pimp, and I definitely blamed it on my daddy.
We know.
I blamed my pimping ways on my daddy. Papa was a Rolling Stone. Like I'm my daddy daughter, But at a certain point, you just gotta grow up. So with that being said, that is why today I wanted to talk about mental health and therapy. You know, because there is a huge stigma around mental health and therapy within the Black community. And quite frankly, we're the ones who probably need therapy the most, because we've seen so many traumatic situations. We come from traumatic situations. So it's like it's a cycle of continuous traumatic fucking situations. I think even with myself, unintentionally, I've probably caused some damage to my own kids. And I'm just gonna be 100% honest. If I really think about it, you know what I'm saying? Because I had my kids young. You know, what things do kids really like? Oh, I remember when my mama was doing this, or I remember when my mama was doing that. So as a person who is somebody who seeks therapy, that's something that you have to like, we don't always talk about that. And I think that's really one of the reasons why Black people don't like going to therapy, because they don't like owning up to their shit. Like, yeah, my daughter crazy a little bit because, like, yeah, I was a little crazy. I was on crack a little bit when I was pregnant with her. Yeah, I was on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, versus, oh, I don't, no, baby, just go to church. Just go to church, darling. It's gonna, that crack gonna just, you gonna piss it right out. Just go to church.
It's always the devil. It's always the devil. It ain't nothing.
So, why do you think that there's such a big stigma around mental health in the Black community?
I feel like
and therapy and psychology.
I feel like it starts, I ain't gonna lie, I feel like it starts with our parents, our grandparents, and all.
Because they're like, you don't need that, go pray.
Because, yeah, for real, like, they'll instantly sit here and say, anytime you say something bad, oh, that ain't nothing with the devil, you just thinking bad.
Or that one saying when they be like, mommy, I'm feeling depressed. You better depress your ass and clean the dishes. Whoa.
Yeah, like, they also they didn't believe in any of that shit. Or like, you can legit be having a bad day, but you'll sit there and get yelled at and get a belt poured out on you. Like, straight your goddamn face up. You act like something wrong with you. Like, we doing something to you. And like, it's like you can't even leave the house. Just showing like how you really feel and everything. Because they don't want nobody else to hear and think, oh, there's something wrong with you. Or whatever. I don't know. It's just like we try to understand the concept of trying to keep everything, you know, our business within our household and everything. But at the same time, like, if I got some fucking issues, I got some fucking issues.
If it takes a community to raise a child, then certain shit shouldn't be hidden. Because the great thing about testimonies is they definitely influence and motivate other people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Versus sitting up and pretending like you just got it all together. Do you feel like as a Black man, it's hard to kind of be emotional because of the stigma of you gotta be hard, you gotta suck that shit up?
So I grew up, you know, I don't have any siblings or anything, but I grew up with all my cousins. And I was in a house full of boys, raised by women, where I was always the youngest and the smallest. So I got the best of both worlds.
The smallest?
Yeah. I was the youngest and the smallest amongst everybody until I hit high school.
Okay. You was like, nah,
but yeah,
y'all ain't finna jump me today. I'm about to beat y'all niggas ass.
No, that's how I had to learn how to fight.
Yeah.
I was literally fighting against them niggas every day.
Yeah.
Fighting, wrestling, all that shit and everything. And, you know, anytime I cried over something, they'll punch me in the face, or they'll take one of them hard ass brushes, hit me upside the head with it. Told me stop being a little girl, stop being a bitch. Boys don't cry, we don't do this, that, and the third, all that shit. And that shit really like stuck with me. Like growing up and everything, I didn't realize how much it really affected me and everything until I got older. It was like I don't feel nothing. Even when I was in high school, I got robbed at gunpoint. I got jumped by niggas and shit like that before. Like cry for what? It ain't gonna change. Shit still happen and everything. And it wasn't until I got older when I was in a relationship with someone that literally like asked me, like, you don't show anything at all, and if we gonna continue to go on, I'm gonna really need you to start saying, opening up and expressing yourself a lot more. And when I did that, it's like it wasn't even bits and pieces, like all that shit came out damn near. And one time, that's how we ended up not even like working out, because aside from my upbringing, I got the same thing when I joined the Army and everything too. It's like your feelings, your emotions can get you killed. It can jeopardize the mission and everything like that. Yeah. That's some shit you need to just completely sit there and eradicate yourself from. Yeah. But then, as my time and everything went on in there, as you know, a new generation started coming into the Army about my 6-7 year in. Now they're like, oh, you know, we're big on mental health, this, that, and the third, and all this stuff. You know, everybody's like committing suicide and shit and everything. So now we care about it. And I'm like, I don't know. It's dumb.
I mean, I feel like, you know, even though it's late, it's still a good thing, because y'all definitely see a lot of stuff. And as a black person, I'm gonna just be honest, fighting a war for this country is already gotta be mentally like.
I mean, okay, I look at it like this. Like, I feel like, I have no problem ever sitting here, serving like I did before. I have no problem ever sitting here doing it again. Now, I would literally go back and do it all over again, right here, right now, over again. And I understand, I'm sitting here fighting for motherfuckers who don't sit here and give a damn about me. Folks who will sit here and spit on me if they got the chance to and everything, who will want me dead out here. But at the same time, too, everybody isn't like that. And I feel like I do it for the people who can't sit and defend themselves, the people who don't, the folks who don't hate me, the folks who don't sit here and look at me as, it just being different from the color of my skin and everything, or just from being another big black man with a beard and everything with tattoos and shit. Like I don't do it for the motherfuckers who hate me. I do it for the people who can't sit here and fight and protect themselves, who don't sit here and hate me because they can't do it. Somebody got to do it. So shit, why not me?
So do you go to therapy now?
Yeah, I've been off and on ever since 2014 when I got back from Afghanistan. I've literally been.
So you was in Afghanistan?
Yeah, I've been Iraq, Afghanistan, and Kuwait.
You smoked some weed in Afghanistan?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I heard the Afghan weed.
No.
I didn't edit that out.
But yeah, I started going as soon as I got back from there because I knew I wasn't okay. I had just went through a divorce while deployed. I found out that motherfucker was having a whole other baby while I was going through my divorce. Took everything from him and all that. It was wild.
Okay. So therapy for you is a continuous thing. It's something that you just don't go on like, oh, I'm healed and I'm done.
I felt like that at one point, but I had to realize like you're never done doing the work.
Well, you're always growing and you're always experiencing different things. Like at this point, you may have an issue. When you get to your next stage in life, it might be another issue, and then so forth and so forth. But I ain't gonna lie, I tried therapy and it didn't work for me. So I have a different type of therapy. I don't have sit down and talk to somebody therapy. I get active. I go hiking, I do, I write, I do stuff like that. And I do a lot of reflecting when I hike. So that's one thing that I definitely do. But but I only tried one person. I'm not close to it, but I know for me, when I tried it at one time, it didn't, now I know we both have kids. Right now, our babies are so troubled, y'all. So troubled. And I have my little paper because I'm trying to be the next Oprah. It should have had black as fuck right here, but y'all gonna work with me. We're gonna get there. But I wanted to write down some facts because mental health issues are really, really impacting our kids right now. And I feel like it's still that stigma in the black community where you guys feel like you're weak if you need therapy or, man up or this, that, and the fifth. If you need somebody to talk to, that doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong that you're able to even realize, hey, I need help. So I'm not good today. It's a problem. I think Taraji said this, Taraji P. Henderson, she said this on Kevin Hart's podcast. It's a problem when you push through and you try to hold them emotions in and you bury them deep inside because they're going to eventually come out. And then when they come out, you can be a danger to yourself and other people. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how you deal with trauma. You know what I'm saying? So when she said that, I was like, that's definitely dope. And that's one thing that I do. I allow myself time to feel the emotion, not too much because you don't want the emotion to take over you and then you're wallowing in it. But if I'm having a bad day, I'm having a bad day. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to pretend like I'm having a bad day. I'm protecting my energy. I'm having a bad day. But it's important for us to also have that with our kids. Like our kids have bad days too. They kids. But they do have bad days as well. Like sometimes you don't want it to be like an option that they can abuse, but sometimes it's okay to let your kids stay home and have a personal day if they're feeling overwhelmed in school. Because say for instance, like your child going from middle school to high school, that's a big difference. Yeah. That's a big difference, and that could be my daughter when she went to high school, it was very overwhelming for her. She told me that. You know what I'm saying? And as a parent who was raised by our parents who was like, you taking your ass to school, suck that shit up. You know, you have to, nobody taught me, hey, apologize to your kids. Nobody taught me that. It's just, I guess because I had them so young, I'm thinking to myself, well, I remember when my mama did this to me, you know, it wasn't that long ago. And I know how it made me feel, so, okay. Like, even with my daughter yesterday, we had a talk. And I'm like, okay, how can we, because I was like, you been getting a little spicy lately. You know, what's going on? And she felt comfortable enough to me to respectfully tell me, you know, what's been going on with her and why she's been feeling the way that she's been feeling, because she tell me stuff and sometimes I joke about it and she don't like that. So I was like, okay, well, give me another chance, you know, tell me some stuff. And then if I do it again, okay, but give me another chance. Anyway, so 1 in 5 young people aged 13 to 18 has or will develop a mental illness in their lifetime. Young depression rates have risen from 5.9% to 8.2% since 2012. Most Americans lack access to adequate mental health treatment. Half of all lifetime mental illness begins by age 14 and 75% by age 24. Depression alone costs I don't give a fuck how much it costs the nation. The average delay between onset of mental illness symptoms and treatment is 11 years. Wow. So imagine you having an undiagnosed mental health disorder for 11 years and you finally get help. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. And for me, I just want us to really take advantage of the resources that we have out there right now. For Black people, a lot of jobs offer, you know, therapy. That's how I went to my first therapy session, because my job offered it. So I'm like, shit, that shit included in my benefits, so let me try it. So I eventually tried it. But of course, you know, when I told people that I was in therapy, I definitely got like, for what? You don't need therapy. You don't need therapy. And I hate for people to try to tell somebody else what they need. Like, if I feel like I need to sit down and talk to somebody about my life, then that's what I'm gonna do. Do you have your kids in therapy?
No, well, my son's in therapy, but that's a different type of therapy, because, you know, my son's autistic and everything, so he's just learning, you know, how to sit there, how to communicate better, you know, how to sit there and be more social and things like that, because those are the skills and everything which he doesn't currently have right now. Smart as hell, and he's an asshole, but probably too smart for what was on good. But, you know, we just taking baby steps and everything. Like, finally got potty training down. Now passed, and now we're trying to give him a poop and throw and everything. So just baby steps, but you learn a lot of patience, a whole lot of patience with an autistic baby. And that one right there,
your daughter,
attitude just like her mama. I mean,
why y'all say that? Like the attitude didn't come from you. Why I always gotta come from mama?
Because I dealt with her before. I ain't saying I always come from the mama.
Everything I know, attitude just like her mama. But the smartness come from them. Okay.
I mean, the credentials don't lie.
Whatever. So your daughter is in therapy?
No. Not right now. She's not in therapy, but I think probably within the next year or so, I may consider actually putting her in, because she's not necessarily acting out, but I can really see like a really strong attitude developing, especially when when she can't get her way all the time, when you tell her no towards anything. Like when I say I'm talking about attitude, I'm talking about look you up and down and will just mug you the rest of the day, not say nothing. You know, I'm telling you, like, whew.
How old is she?
She 5. She about to be 6.
Oh wow, damn,
right.
It's 5. I thought you were about to say like 9 or something. You said 5. You got a long way to go, buddy. Just get started. My daughter has asked me to put her in therapy. She's asked me to do it, to put her in therapy. But for my daughter, she's very soft. She's very docile. So, you know, a lot of stuff for her can be overwhelming. I think it's very strong of her to acknowledge that, hey, I want to talk to somebody besides y'all, because y'all get on my nerves. and I really need to talk to somebody. So I think that was very mature of her to be like, I need therapy. You know, of course I want to talk to her, you know, like what's going on, you know, but she's like, I just, my brothers get on my nerves and I just don't like them. I was like, oh. I feel like mental health is becoming something that we just really can't ignore anymore. Nah, you can't go to church because half of them niggas in church is the ones who's causing the mental health issues for our children and our community. You know, when we were slaves, that's all we had, you know, was the church, but we're not slaves no more. So, I mean, technically, you know, so we can do other things to kind of deal with trauma versus, you know, being loud, arguing with our kids all the time. You arguing with your kid because you ain't had a blunt all day because you don't know how to control your emotions. Like, that's not their fault. You know what I'm saying? It ain't their fault. That's why I don't let my weed get down to a certain point because I'm not gonna have those type of problems. I digress.
I know we all preach this a lot and everything, but seriously, if you really are feeling like you're at a very low point and you have no other way out, reach out to just somebody. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your friend, if it's your boyfriend, girl, significant other, whatever. I don't care who it is. Just reach out to someone and at least give people a chance to say and give you an alternative versus, you know, deciding to take your own life. I don't know if you've seen recently the young lady who just committed suicide and everything. The fitness. I can't
think of her name either, but I know who you're talking about. That shit.
Raven Jackson.
Raven
Jackson. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Raven.
God,
like rest in peace.
God rest her soul, man. But
it was really sad to read. It was really sad to see, as it always is.
It was, and it brought me to tears. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, being somebody that has battled with, you know, depression and suicide and everything as well too. Like, I feel bad because I understood a lot of where she was coming from. How
did you get past the suicidal thoughts? You went to therapy.
Therapy, and then just trying to have faith. Because, and I was like, only reason I'm still here, it ain't nothing but the grace of God. Because I actually attempted. Like when my kids were first born, I attempted.
Was it just overwhelming? What was?
It was like dealing with my son's mom. Jesus Christ. Dealing with her. I'm sitting there. I was flunking out of school. I had just got out the army. I was damn near homeless right before that, before I started going to school and staying on campus there after I separated. I didn't have much of anything. Like, I was a brand new father, you know, sitting here trying to figure out how to raise my daughter. Had a son on the way, and it's just like everything around was just crumbling. Just lost my great grandmother, who was like the anchor to our whole family, you know. And I don't know. I just feel like I was literally losing everything, and I literally put my gun in my head in my door room, and I pulled the trigger. Normally I'll keep them around in the chamber and shit. But that one day I had one in there and it didn't go off, it just clicked. And I just broke down crying. I threw that shit across the room. I broke down crying. I just stayed in my room the whole weekend. I didn't eat. I didn't call nobody. I didn't talk to nobody or anything. I just stayed in my room the whole weekend and I just cried. And I had to just get myself out of that shit and everything. I called my best friend, you know, who lives in Hawaii and everything, and talked to her and all that. And, you know, talk to some of my other buddies that, you know, I deployed with and everything. And, you know, they kind of helped me get me in a better mind space and everything, give me a lot of reassurance and stuff. But it was tough because I had to realize, like, I felt like that in the moment, but like overall, I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to die and everything. But I can definitely understand and attest to some of the things that she did mention in that message and everything, because I can relate to it, unfortunately. And so, you know, anytime I see somebody with suicide, you know, who's contemplating suicide or has committed suicide for whatever reasons, like, I can never call them weak.
Right.
Or
I hate when I see that, when people say that it's weak for someone to say that they feel like they want to kill themselves. Like, just because you're strong or you think you're mentally strong does not make you better than that person who is crying out for help.
Yeah, I mean,
and if something happened to that person, you gonna be that shit gonna hurt you.
And it'd be like,
yeah, that's okay.
It'd be like you're weak or you're selfish and everything. And I can understand how you can understand
the selfish part,
and everything, but at the same time, like, that's not how you sit here and you stop somebody from going.
That makes them feel even more worthless, right?
Yeah, it's like, well, damn, I'm trying to take myself out of the equation so I don't I'm not a burden to anyone else and everything. You tell me, well, even by thinking like that, you're still doing the exact same thing. You're trying to sit here and prevent. So it's like, you damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah. If anyone ever came to me with it, it's definitely I'm gonna listen. I'm definitely gonna listen. I can't do nothing but listen. You know, if someone chooses me to be the person that they're open with and vulnerable with, and telling me, hey, this is what I'm experiencing. So yeah, if your friend or anybody you love or anybody you know is saying to you, hey, I am depressed, I am doing this, I am doing that. And right now, with everything that's going on, it's definitely going to be more common, especially with these babies, because I don't know what the hell is going on right now. I don't. Every month, it's something, a shootout, it's a killing spree, it's something, you know, and I can only think that it starts with these people's mentals. Like that guy in Memphis, just riding around shooting people. And you could tell that nigga wasn't all the way up here. He was on live. Like, why? And I could go into more depth, because it's kind of weird now that we seeing all these black mass shooters. But I ain't gonna go there. But yeah, I really just, like, that's the point of, like, my whole platform and the point of today's episode. Just definitely get your mind together. It's important. Do what you gotta do. Smoke your weed. Don't smoke crack though. Don't do that. I don't want you guys to smoke crack. Don't do it. Don't do meth. Don't do any of the powder things. Don't do that. Talk to somebody. Go outside. Get out the house. Stop being lazy. Stop fucking your way through your pain, because once that nut subsides, you're still hurt. Hug your children a little bit tighter, because they can feel when you're sad. They can feel when you're going through something. I know my kids can. I be surprised. Like, when I be feeling better and then they come to me and they talk to me, I be like, oh, okay, yeah. Pull me up out of bootstraps. Yeah, let's heal, black people. You got anything else you want to say about that?
Check on your strong friends.
Check on your strong friends.
Check on your strong friends. A lot of times they're the ones who are suffering in silence.
And your comedian friends as well. We use jokes with laughter or pain. Kevin Hart. Alright guys, well, again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you are subscribed. Leave me a comment to let me know how you guys feel about this episode. If you guys have any resources that you can drop in the comments as well, as far as where maybe some free mental health services, or maybe any type of resources that you may have, drop them in the comments, so that way we can start promoting getting our mind right, getting healthy both mentally, physically, and spiritually. Let's do it. Alright, so again guys, thank you, Dante, for coming out. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.